how would you describe Feral Atlas to someone? Because it's almost
Good question.
boundless, and it's like a more than. So I mean, and I'm asking this question because almost like using a term from Jane Bennett's work, it's vibrant. You know,
Oh, I'm so
it
glad to
comes
hear that.
off. Yeah, but it's like, because I'm asking this too because I was trying to, you know, type out and like, oh, describe Feral Atlas, and I realized I didn't have necessarily I felt the sufficient words to try to capture it in the moment. So I'm curious, how would you describe Feral Atlas, and also for maybe people who are listening on the podcast or something, how would you describe it to someone?
We really struggled with that in the beginning, actually, and it was i- as much of a challenge as it is now that it exists in the world. Before it had actually been coded and like we could interact with it, it was even harder. Um, so I describe it as a multimedia digital environmental humanities project. Um, that doesn't encompass all of what's in it, but so if I get one sentence to describe it, that's how I describe it. If I get a second sentence, I say that it is composed of about 80 field reports based on empirical observation written by scientists, humanists, and indigenous intellectuals and activists. And that those are all multimedia reports in one way or another. So they all have visuals or sound or audio, and some of them consist primarily of that. And then if I get a third sentence to describe it, I say that it is built on an interactive, purpose-built web platform, which has theory arguments built into it, and which intends to sort of uh, try to illustrate the argument through the interface, so that when the user encounters it, they encounter first imagery and an invitation to interact with it. And that imagery and film and sound draws them through short pieces of text before they're asked to engage with a longer piece of text, with the idea that it might hold people's attention a little longer than uh, than just a wall of text on a web page.
Yeah,
I just
it's a
want to say,
deeply. Oh,
oh, sorry.
oh
I
no,
just want
sorry.
to
I
say,
just yeah.
oh, sorry. I just want to say the writing is fantastic. I just really want to encourage people to check this out because um, the it's playful, it's sophisticated. It creates a conceptual grammar and language to think about the world and the Anthropocene for that matter in an interesting way. So, but sorry, Amy, I cut you off.
No. I mean, that's the fun thing. It's how we get to have the conversations like how they would
Mm.
happen in real life.
Mm.
No, but I just like from Alex, it's a uniquely pedagogical project, you know, and it does every time. I mean, and again, encouraging people to visit. Every time I personally go to visit, there's something new to explore, and there's something
I'm so glad.
different, maybe something I haven't seen or haven't, you know, uncovered yet, just the different connections. And that's actually, I think, really interesting, like where what would you want with Feral, or what would you be your hope with Feral Atlas, you know, because it is doing this theory making, but also connecting it to the Anthropocene and having it as a pedagogical project for people who interact with it to then maybe do something, you know, outside of the interaction with, say, the website.
The sort of key takeaways that we would like people to have from engaging with Feral Atlas is the encouragement to look carefully, and look carefully at like where you are, whether that's where you are on a web page or where you are in a landscape or where you are on the map. Um, One of the challenges of thinking with the Anthropocene as a term is that I think a lot like climate change, it is really easy to think about it as something unitary and external to you. So it's really difficult to grapple with, like, how do I, even if I can reduce my own emissions, like uh, what good is that going to do when everybody else is continuing the same kind of behavior? Um, and I think hopefully, hopefully a takeaway from sitting with Feral Atlas for a while would be, um, first of all, to understand that like environmental change is not limited to climate change, that climate is one of our big problems, but there's so many other things that are happening and have happened to environments that people survive in, um, that uh, that reducing all of that to climate change can sort of miss the point about what makes for a livable space. And that could be a livable space for humans, or it could be for lots of other creatures. Um, and then I think a second thing would be to you know, consider what's happening around you. You know, even if you're in the position of being someone who's trying to build better systems or better interventions, rather than just kind of like taking an idea from someplace else and plopping it down without considering the place that you're working. Maybe start by thinking from the place that you're working in, and the people who are part of that place, and asking like what would work to fix the concrete problem that we have here. Um, so I think that sort of careful attention to place would be a big part of it.